Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Wednesday, it is the day before New Year's Eve and we are here with another live stream. I thought we'd sit down today and talk positively about Everton Football Club because look, it's no shocking news that 2020 has been a pretty awful year all round for the majority of us. I think it's pretty much fair to say everybody, we've had the pandemic, the football stopped for a period of time, and there's been a lot of serious, things that have happened this year. It's been absolutely dreadful, and even now, coming to the back end of the year, and tomorrow being New Year's Eve, and Friday being the start of a new year, there's still a little bit of negativity surrounding, obviously, a lot of things at the moment. We've had the news today that Liverpool City region has moved into the Tier 3 restrictions, which unfortunately means that fans won't be able to visit Goodison Park. That is implemented from midnight tonight, which means those fans that were pulled out the hat to receive a ticket for the West Ham game on Friday, unfortunately won't be able to go. That's 2 Everton games now on the bounce that fans have, had their expectations up and been pulled out the ballot and received a ticket, and unfortunately they haven't been able to go. And talking about that first game, the Manchester City game, which was of course postponed on Monday, we've had a little bit more information today from Manchester City, which is that they have had no new positive tests on the Tuesday round of testing, which leaves even more questions to why the game was postponed, why the fixture was postponed, why they couldn't all be tested on Monday afternoon and get those, the quick test that comes back within 20 to 40 minutes. Why was it postponed? Why did the Sheffield United game go ahead last night? So there's still an awful lot of whys and a lot of negativity at the moment, and it has been all year because it's been an absolutely dreadful year, and I do hope that leading into the new year 2021 can bring us a lot more positivity, and hopefully we can see the back end of this virus and we can move on to some form of normality. But it is probably the last live stream of the year as well, and you might think, what, the last live stream of the year? But we will have a game preview up, of course, to the West Ham game on New Year's Day, but that's more than likely going to be a video. It'll be up tomorrow. We'll, of course, have the weekly news roundup as well, which will be up tomorrow. So I thought do a City and do a talk about the news regarding Manchester City not having any more positive tests, and talk more about why the game was postponed. They would talk about Liverpool moving into Tier 3, and I thought, you know what, we may talk a little bit about that towards the end of the live stream, of course, because it's relevant, but I thought, let's talk about how Carlo Ancelotti has improved Everton Football Club in 2020, because 2020 has been a very, very bad year for all of us. Like I said, that you've had the pandemic, people have been stuck in, there was the lockdowns. It's been a very, very tough year for us all to get through, and you know what, we've all got through it up to this point, and if we can beat that, we can beat pretty much anything. We just have to keep powering on, we just have to keep fighting. But it has been an awful year, and at the start of the year it was very much up and down for Everton Football Club as well. But of course this has been the first full year that Carlo Ancelotti has been the manager of Everton. Joined the club on Boxing Day, or just before Boxing Day, last year. Managed this first Everton game against Burnley on Boxing Day 2019, and we've seen a full year of what Carlo Ancelotti can bring to Everton, and I actually think there's been a lot of positives. So I wanted to talk a little bit positively about 2020, at least from an Everton point of view, if not anything else, because let's be honest, you can't really talk positively about this year in any other vein. Even talking about football in general, it hasn't been a very positive year. But from an Everton perspective, there's been a lot of things that we can be excited about going forward, and there's been a lot of changes at the football club which needed to be made in terms of the mentality, the results that we're picking up, the players that we've brought in. So I thought, you know what, don't just want to sit here and be doom and gloom and this, that and the other. Let's go on and let's talk some positivity about Carlo Ancelotti and how he has improved Everton Football Club this year, and how we can, be excited for the future, and we can actually sit here now on, the day before New Year's Day, ready to welcome in a new year and say goodbye to this dreadful year and never have to think about it again. Why we can look forward to Everton in 2021, because ultimately, look, I put out a tweet yesterday and I was sitting there and I was thinking, obviously, when our game got postponed on Monday night, ultimately, I think we done a video, well, I don't think, I know, I was there, I recorded it, we done a video on Monday night about the game and talked about the positives and how, we'll be able to have a little bit more rest going into the West Ham game on New Year's Day, and how ultimately the postponement of the game will help the players in terms of the recuperation, and it'll be a positive thing in that sense. But I was sitting there last night and even on Monday night, and whilst obviously we were the only game to have been postponed at that time, I know the Tottenham versus Fulham game is being postponed today. You're sitting there and you're watching Manchester United score a last minute winner, you're watching Leicester pick up points, you're watching, various other sides, and all of a sudden you're seeing Everton sort of fall down the table. And it's not drastic, of course, we only went from second to fourth, but I was sitting there thinking, you know what? I'm fuming that Everton haven't played a game against one of the strongest sides in the Premier League because we've dropped from second to fourth going into a new year. And it just made me realise how far we've actually come as a football club, even in such a short period of time. Now, Carlo Ancelotti has spoke on multiple occasions. He spoke today in his pre-game press conference about how he doesn't see Everton as title contenders, and that's absolutely fair enough. Maybe Carlo doesn't see the consistency there. Maybe he thinks we need, a little bit more to be able to, constantly stay in this position. But the fact that we can sit here as Evertonians, look at the Premier League table and genuinely be a bit annoyed that we've dropped down to fourth when we had the chance to go first, and it's through no fault of our own, just shows how far we've come as a football club ultimately. Because this time last year, or just before this time last year, before Carlo come in, there was a lot of concerns of whether we'd even be a Premier League club in a couple of years. The players weren't playing for the manager didn't know his arse from his elbow, talking about Marco Silva of course, and the players didn't look like they could string a result or a performance together. I remember we were losing to teams like Norwich, who at the time were looked destined to go down. We were dropping points against teams that were in relegation fights, and you were looking at it thinking, how are we going to get out of this? Carlo Ancelotti comes into the football club, and 12 months later we're sitting there looking at the Premier League title, fuming that we've dropped down to fourth through no fault of our own, and again, still only 3 points off the top. And I know you can say, oh well, it's a very tight year and there's only 3 points between 8th and 1st, and we've got the worst goal and this, that and the other, but we have to look at it positively and how much that we have improved in such a short period of time. And how good is it to look at a Premier League table, see Everton fourth and go, oh bloody hell, we've dropped down a couple of places there, and we haven't even played. It's not even our fault. I've seen a lot of Evertonians now saying, why didn't we play that game against Manchester City? We could have got a win. We're on good form. We're in 4 out of 4 in the Premier League. When historically, prior to Carlo Ancelotti, do Everton go on reigns of form where we're winning 4 out of 4, 5 out of 5, the start of this Premier League season, 7 wins out of 7. I know we had a couple of cup wins in that, but 4 out of 4 in the Premier League, 3 out of 3 in the Carabao Cup, unbeaten going into the first international break. In fact, not even unbeaten going into the first international break. We hadn't dropped a point going into the first international break. Yes, I've watched Everton for 22 years of my life. I've been going since I was very, very small with my dad. I've seen David Moyes, Roberto Martinez. I've seen it when it was bad and I've seen when it was good. I can never really remember Everton going on a run where we were consistently winning games. Yes, we went on unbeaten runs for periods of time. Yeah, of course we did. But there was always a draw in there and a bad performance and maybe a boring 0-0. Not really, runs where we're winning constantly week in, week out, and winning becomes the expectation. Even this past run, beating Chelsea, Leicester, Arsenal, Sheffield United, all in a row. We were going into this Manchester City game, albeit with a weakened squad because of injuries and, 24 hours rest or something stupid, but we were going in on a really, really good run of form. So it does just show, look how far we've come. And like I said, it's the last live stream of the year, last live stream of 2020. I want to say as well, before we go into talking about it in detail, a big thank you for all of your support this year on the channel, on the live streams, on the videos, on the instant match reactions, all of that stuff, because it's been a horrible year, and there's been various points in the year where I wouldn't blame any of you for saying, I don't really want to listen to this lad ramble on about useless shit. I remember banging the middle of the lockdown when football was still, postponed and there was no games, and we were coming on here and talking about, the badge from the 2013 season and why it wasn't actually as bad as, some people made out for it to be, and we were talking about kits and our favourite kits and all that, and I know that was during a period of time where a lot of people had a lot of serious things going on in their life, and they could have easily thought, you know what, don't want to listen to this lad ramble nonsense anymore. So I want to say a massive thank you to everybody for sticking with us through this year, because it's been very, very tough for everybody. And anybody that's new to the channel and recently subscribed, a massive thank you for getting involved. We are live, so if you could share the stream, it'd mean a great deal to me. If you could hit that like button, it'd mean a great deal to me as well. But like I said, it's the last stream of the year. Didn't want to come on and be all, City have recorded no positive tests, or why wasn't the game played, and we're in tier 3 and all of that sort of stuff. We will cover that in some form. If it's not tonight, it'll be on the weekly news roundup on Friday. Friday. But I thought, no, you know what? Let's talk about what's changed in 2020 for Everton Football Club, because obviously it's bang in the middle of the season. It's not a season review, but it's nice to sit back at the end of any year and talk about the year as a whole. Last year we talked about the decade as a whole. This year we're talking about 2020, which in many cases has been dreadful, but for Everton there's been a lot of positives, The first one, and the main one of course, being Carlo Ancelotti. Everton are now managed by an absolute serial winner. A serial winner. Not a manager who's learning his trade. Not a manager who has showed potential as a player. Not a manager who was a world-class player. Not a manager who was, might have worked next to somebody, who lived next to somebody, whose dog knew somebody who'd won a Champions League. We are managed by a serial winner. A manager who's won 3 Champions League titles. He's won 4 of the 5 top European leagues. Won the league in 4 of the 5 top European leagues. World's best manager 3 times. Number of accolades personally in terms of, being up for manager of the century. I think he was as well. Being compared as one of the greatest managers to ever manage in the game of football. You can have your arguments about whether it's Alex Ferguson or Guardiola or whoever, but Carlo Ancelotti is absolutely in every argument. Whenever a football fan says who's the best manager of all time, Carlo Ancelotti's in that argument. Whether he wins it is personal opinion, but he's always in that argument. And that just shows the intent of Everton's board. In December 2019, when Marco Silva was sacked after we got absolutely embarrassed by Liverpool at Anfield, Farhad Moshiri and Bill Kenwright and the Everton board could have gone out and gone, you know what? Let's just bring in another experimental manager. Let's go out and bring in somebody like an Eddie Howe because he's done okay at Bournemouth. Let's go out and bring in somebody, that, again, may or may not, be successful here and is learning his trade. Or alternatively, they could have come on and gone, you know what, Duncan's done well for a couple of games, let's give it to Duncan. And I know some fans would say, oh, why would that be such a bad thing? It wouldn't, but Duncan Ferguson was absolutely spot on. One massive amount of admiration I have for Duncan Ferguson, not only is the fact that he stepped in at short notice and he got a tune out of a team that at the time looked absolutely dreadful and couldn't buy a 3 points. Not only did he do that, but he also come out on multiple occasions. After the Chelsea game, he was hounded. I remember Duncan Ferguson was absolutely hounded by the media. Do you want this job? Will you take this job? Are you going to get it? Surely there's no other candidate now. It was the same after the Chelsea game. It was the same after we got a point at Old Trafford. And Duncan Ferguson remained clear in his message, and he said, I want this football club to go out and get the best manager for this football club. I want this football club to go out and get a winner. Somebody that's going to come in and guarantee success. He could have took the selfish out, Duncan Ferguson, and gone, yeah, I've got a good result. I'd love this, that and the other. He didn't. He come out and said, look, it'll be a dream, and at some point in the future it'll be a dream, but I need Everton Football Club to go out and get the best manager for the job. And if that's not me, then I'm stepping back. That's it. And I have a lot of admiration for Duncan Ferguson for doing that, because I honestly think that woke Everton's board up, and Everton's board went, you know what, we do need to do that. We can't just go out and get an Eddie Howe because he's available and he'll be cheap. We can't just go out and get another experimental manager. We can't just give it to Duncan because he's right in what he's saying. We need to go out and get the best of the best. What did we do? We went out and got Carlo Ancelotti. Doesn't get much better than Carlo Ancelotti. And what we've seen in the last 12 months is a shift in mentality at Everton Football Club, a shift in just the simple things of football, the players that he's managed to attract to the football club, the amount of respect that he demands from not only the players, but the media and the fans. He has been a complete revelation at this football club, and he has turned everything on its head. Will we still have bad runs of form? Of course we will. It's not perfect. He's only been here a year. He's not a magician. He didn't come in with a wand. Of course we'll still go on runs of games like we did early on in the season, where we're playing poorly and we're losing games and we don't look like we can buy a 3 points. Of course, we'll still have stupid results like the one against Liverpool at Anfield in January 2020, early on in the season in the Cup. Of course, we'll still have performances where you think he's got it wrong there. He's a manager, he's a human. Of course, he's going to get it wrong. He's going to make some bad decisions. That's guaranteed. But again, like I said, he's got so much right in 12 months. So much right. I want to go in and I want to talk about January at first, because January wasn't great this year. I remember, obviously, we went into January off the back of a ropey December. Carlo would come in towards the end of it. We'd managed to beat Burnley on Boxing Day, which was a very, very tough game in Carlo's opening game of the season. But then we went into January and we lost to Man City, I think on the opening day of the year, on New Year's Day, which again wasn't a big surprise. Lost 2-1 to them. They were a very, very good side, very, very good squad, still are. Not a massive, massive surprise. Can't really put that down to Carlo Ancelotti. We then lost to Liverpool in the Cup, and this was the one where a lot of people questioned the mentality. A lot of people sort of went, you know what, we've got a serial winning in here, and we've just lost to a Liverpool side who have basically put out a lot of young or inexperienced players that we should have been beaten easily. And I think we were quite quick to jump on that as fans, and obviously we were, because Liverpool had fielded an inexperienced young side, and it actually had an average age that was older than ours, but because of the perception that Jurgen Klopp wasn't going for the competition and he was fielding a young side and he wasn't bothered and this, that and the other, because we lost that game, I think we were all quick as a fan base to jump on the we'll never beat them ever again, the mentality hasn't changed, this, that, the other. We're sitting back now, just under a year later, obviously at the end of the year, sitting back and looking at it, Carlo Ancelotti had been in the job, a week, 2 weeks. He was never going to be able to change the mentality of the football club in that period of time. He probably didn't even know half of the players. He certainly didn't know them as well as he does now. So we can't really put direct blame on Carlo Ancelotti for that. Can we blame him for some of the decisions he made in that game? Yes. Can we blame him for the fact that, maybe other players should have had opportunities ahead of some? Yeah, maybe. But we can't blame him for the fact that the mentality of that squad was the same mentality that we'd seen, ultimately in Marco Silva's time at the football club, as well as previous managers. Carlo had been here a week, 2 weeks, something like that. He was never going to come in and completely change the mentality of the football club. That was something that we were going to see over time. Now, hindsight, looking back on that game, you sit back and you think, right, okay, it's a bad result, it's a bad performance, it does show a mentality side that we don't want to see. Let's see if that changes over 2020, and it absolutely did. A couple of weeks later, we had the Newcastle game, again, 2-0 up, cruising, probably one of the best performances of the season at that point. Last 30 seconds, we give 2 goals to Newcastle, they get back into the game, they get a point out of it. Again, we're straight away saying, oh, nothing's changed, the mentality issues are still there, this, that, the other. Again, Carlo Ancelotti had been in the job a month. He was never going to change anything within a month. It was always going to be a difficult task for Carlo Ancelotti to do. Let's see what he does within 12 months. Goes away at the end of that season. Again, we've got some decent results in the lockdown period. We beat Leicester away. We beat Sheffield United away when, again, they were fighting for the European position. We beat Watford away, which I want to talk about in a moment. But at the end of that season, ultimately, we'd gone through a period after the lockdown where football had come back. We had 9 games. I think we won 3, we drawn 3, and we lost 3. Carlo Ancelotti said to them players, come back. There we go, we're back on. Anyway, like I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by the computer, which again is just decided to do a usual, which is just completely turn itself off. Carlo Ancelotti said to those players at the end of the season, come back with a different mentality, come back wanting to win, come back believing you can win, come back without this, we haven't beaten that team for 5 years, so that means we're not going to win again today. What did we do? We come back. New season, we beat Spurs, opening game of the season away from home, a side that we hadn't beaten in such a long time. But before we get into that, let's go back a little bit, let's revert a little bit, let's start to talk about the mentality shift at Everton Football Club. Carlo come in, and within a month, like I said, we'd had the Liverpool result, which was disappointing, we'd had the Newcastle result, which was very disappointing, and we were all sort of sitting there thinking, the mentality still hasn't seemed to have changed. Were we thinking, hang on, he's only been here a month, let's give it a little bit longer? No, because we were frustrated at the time, there was a lot of emotion, there was a lot of frustration, so we just jumped to, it's not changed and it's never going to change. But it did change, didn't it? And it all started with a couple of results for me. One was Newcastle away, beat Newcastle away 2-0. Now, this falls into another point I want to talk about as well, which is away wins. Under Marco Silva, and again, previous managers, we didn't really win games away. We've always been a very, very strong team, Everton Football Club. Since the Moyes days, since I can remember, we've always been a very strong team at Goodison Park. Goodison Park's always been a very difficult place for teams to come and win or get a result because we make it horrible for them. The fans are always on the players' back. But away from home, we've never really had an amazing away record. And that went from being not really an amazing away record to we couldn't even win games away from home. It got to the point where I think we won maybe 6 away from home in a single season, and everyone was in uproar. It was like, oh my god, it's the worst thing ever, and it was an awful stat. We'd be going away every single time we'd play, and no matter who would play, be it a team at the top of the table, be it a side fighting relegation, you'd almost know well, we're not really going to win this game because it's away and we don't win away games. Carlo Ancelotti come in and he completely changed that. But the Newcastle away game was a big one for me. We turned up and we just beat a side who we were better than. None of this, we're away from home and we don't usually do well away from home. And it's not the same as being at Goodison Park and we're not in front of our own crowd. We just turned up and won because we were better than them. And ultimately, Carlo Ancelotti instilled that mentality of, doesn't matter where you're playing, what pitch you're playing on, what city you're playing in. If you're better than the side you're facing and you should win, go out and win. Don't worry about where you are or if you're away or if you're at home. Go and win the game of football. And we've done that against Newcastle. Another big shift in mentality that I think was an absolute catalyst for us sitting back and going, something's changing at Everton Football Club here. The Watford game. Going 2-0 down against Watford in the first half. This is coming out of a reign under Marco Silva where we didn't win one Premier League game after going down by 1 goal. If we conceded in the first 5 minutes, we'd lost that game, you'd knew it. Because that was factual. We never come back once in the Premier League after conceding the first goal of the game. We conceded 2 in the opening, half an hour, 40 minutes against Watford. And we all sort of sat back and went, that's it. We've lost another game against the side. Again, fighting relegation. It's not good enough whatsoever. Gary Mina pops up. Last couple of minutes of the first half, we equalise 2-2. Theo Walcott goes up the other end. Last minute of the game, scores the winner. I'm not going to talk about every game in detail because, we've done the reviews and we've done the conversation. We've talked about them all. Theo Walcott goes up and scores the winner. Everton not only have won a game away from home again, but have come back from 2-0 down to win a game of football. Those players that under Marco Silva and previous managers would drop their heads as soon as we concede and think, right, that's it, it's done now, we're not going to win, it's pointless even trying. Turned up and went, no, you know what, we're not giving up this game, we're going out and we're going to win it. And he went out and won it. That is a direct impact on the manager and the manager's effect on the dressing room is to go out and say, listen lads, that was a dreadful first half, that you've conceded 2 poor goals there, but it's not over, go out and win the game. And he went out, and I'm not saying that's as easy as Carlo, and obviously I'm not in the dressing room. I don't know Carlo Ancelotti's team talks. I'm not saying for 1 minute that he just says, go out and win the game because you're better than them. Obviously there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more philosophy to it, and a lot better man management than that. But ultimately that's what it is. It's going out and saying, don't drop your heads. Go out, pick your heads up, go again, win the game. We went out and we won the game. Again, a massive mentality switch. And I think that's when proactively us as fans sort of sat back and went, something's changing here. Something's changed at this football club because we don't win that game 12 months ago. We don't win that game 2 years ago. We don't even win that game 3 months ago because our heads drop after the first goal. Watford get a second, and if any result was more likely, it was that they'd probably go and get a third, and we might nick 1 and lose the game 3-1. We don't do that, but we went out and we done it. Again, we've seen it this season. Spurs away, opening game of the season. Everton hadn't won a game against Tottenham Hotspur away from home in 12 years, something like that. Hadn't beaten one of the top 6 sides away from home since 2013. Opening game of the season. Players like James Rodriguez, Abdoulaye Doucouré, Alan had only been at the club a week. There was talk about whether ultimately whether they'd be able to settle in quick enough, whether there'd be a cooling off period, blah, 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 blah. They all started. The team news come out an hour before kickoff, and I think we were all sort of surprised to see them starting. We go out and we absolutely batter Tottenham. It was a 1-0 win, but we were brilliant in that game. They had nothing. And yes, the journalists and yes, the media, they'll tell you that was because Tottenham were poor and Tottenham weren't on their day and it was a bad start to the season. But look at Tottenham after that game. They very rarely lost the game after that. They went on this mad run. I know they've sort of stalled a little bit at the moment, but they went on this mad run where they were just winning constantly week in, week out. We made them look dreadful on the opening day of the season. And that wasn't because they were poor. They mightn't have played their best game, fair enough, but that was because Everton turned up and beat a really, really good Tottenham side. Yes, we won 1-0, but we were very good on that day. We could have got 2 or 3 comfortably. Brilliant win. Again, another game where I found myself on multiple occasions this year in 2020, obviously both in last season in certain parts with the Watford game and the Newcastle game, and in this current season, I found myself sitting back on multiple occasions and going, we don't win that last year. Most recently, Sheffield United, the last time we played, I looked at the game and I thought, we don't win that game last year. We don't continue to dig deep. We don't continue to fight and get the winning goal. We get to 70 minutes and we go, bollocks to it. We haven't scored. We'll just take a point. We don't win those games. under different managers in different periods at the football club. Again, like I said, the Spurs game, brilliant win. West Brom, a couple of weeks later, I think it was a week after, we concede again just after half-time. They get back into the game, we concede just after half-time, and you're thinking, oh, bloody hell. I think we scored the first one and then conceded to make it 1-1. Did our head stop? No, we went out. James Rodriguez scored a worldie, 2-1, brilliant. Okay, come out in the second half, they had 10 men, they scored straight away. Again, a different Everton would go, oh, well, we've conceded, they've got 10 men, then just heads of the drop, shoulders of the drop, that was it. What did we do? Just went out and scored another 3. Just absolutely sent them to the park. Done it with Brighton a couple of weeks later. Crystal Palace, again an away win, which we'll talk about in a moment. Brilliant win. Turned up against the side who were unbeaten at the time. Absolutely brilliant. And just beat them. I know we won by a penalty and it was a dubious penalty, but we beat them. It's not always about the performances. Ultimately, you look back at the end of the season and you look at the wins. We won that game. I'll look back at the end of this season, and you know, if Everton are sitting within... Oh, this team just froze a minute. Let's just give it another second to calm itself down. Give it a second. Should calm itself down in a moment. There we go. Is it going to do the resetting thing, or are we just going to calm down? No, I think we've just calmed it down. I know it's lagging at the moment. Everton Botcher says lag. I know there's a little bit of lag on the live stream. I think it's because of connection issues and stuff like that. Can't really do much about it. But yeah, like I said, hang on a sec. Just lost me train of thought there. 2 seconds. But yeah, like I said, you know, even this season, the Palace game wasn't the greatest game of football, but we won it ultimately. And that's what is the most important, is that we come out and we won that game of football. Now, look, at the end of this season, just notice there's still a little bit of lag. Everton Botcher says, you there, Cam? I am still here. There is a little bit of lag. I do apologise about that. It's just the connection at the moment. Hopefully it'll fix itself within the next minute or so. We'll just give it a second to calm itself down. Yeah, I think I'm a little bit choppy and changey at the moment. Yeah, I think we've calmed down. Anyway, listen, technical issues. It's the Mighty Blues. There's always a technical issue. Anyway, again, I've lost my train of thought again. The computer just wants me to lose my train of thought. We come out of that game, like I said, the end of the season, you look back and you don't think, oh, we barely won that game, or we only won that game off a dodgy penalty. You look back at the end of the season and you go, we won that game, we finished in a European position. And ultimately, that's all that matters, is that at the end of the season, we're looking back at the wins. I know performances are a big thing, and I know we won't always get away with scoring an 80th minute winner against the side who haven't won a game all season. I know we need to be better, of course we do, but ultimately, we're winning games that in previous periods of the club we wouldn't be winning, which is a big positive. I do want to talk about away wins as well. Like I said, mentality, biggest thing for me that Carlo Ancelotti, I want to say, is changing, because it's constantly changing, and obviously there's still a lot of hurdles to get over, and there's still a lot of mentality, you know, I don't want to say issues, but situations at the football club that we need to get over, but it's changing. And it's changing quickly, and it's changed over a year spell, which just shows the progression of the football club. I want to talk about away wins, and then I want to talk about signings as well. But let's get into the live comments. Loads of comments today, so big thanks to everybody for getting involved. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Really do appreciate that. If you could leave the video a like as well, it would mean a great deal to me. Evan Botch says, hey Cam, what's up? I'm not bad, mate. How are you? He says, can I be your moderator? We haven't really got any moderators, but it's something I'm thinking about for the future. Alex says, yes, Cam, what's happening, Alex? Semi says, top man, Cam, how you doing, mate? Hello to all my fellow Blues. I'm not too bad. Alex says, James back for West Ham? Unfortunately not. Carlo Ancelotti had his press conference today and confirmed that James will still be out. Richarlison's back, but James unfortunately will still be out. We're going to talk about the game against West Ham. If you're wondering where the preview is, by the way, it'll be up tomorrow. The game preview to that game on New Year's Day will be up tomorrow, so look out for that one. We'll also have the weekly news roundup up as well, if you want to check that one out. Philip says, no. Evan Bot says, hey Cam, also, what was with that video teaser? Which one, mate? Which video teaser? You'll have to remind me of that one. Semi says, have to look forward to a better year in 2020. Spot on, mate, spot on. Wimmy says, hey Cam, come on, Cam lad, how's everyone doing? I'm not too bad. Liam says, hey Cam, love the vids, mate. What do you make of people saying James isn't world class? I disagree, he's an exceptional footballer. Spot on, I agree with you, mate. Liam says, do you reckon we will get anyone in January? Maybe a loanee signing, hopefully a backup striker, to be honest, because we're desperately in need of one of them, but ultimately past that, I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. Maybe says, to be fair, probably better for us not to play at the moment, with people out. But on the wind-up side, why does City get win and the game? Where City wins and the games get postponed? West Ham didn't, Fulham didn't. Money in it. Well, again, like I said, we may talk about that towards the back end of the live stream. But there's a lot of unanswered questions regarding the game on Monday, and it smells fishy. Let's just say that. Let's just say it feels like that I've got a plate of salmon, sea bass, lobster, prawns, crabfish, just all the fish, seafood in the world I've got in front of me, and I can just smell major fish. Evan Bot says, Dean back and training in 1 week. Yeah, hopefully, mate. Whammy says, Moneyball City. 1878 ST says, yes, Cam, up you well, lad. I'm not too bad, mate. Whammy says, how's Dean back in training? Yeah, Kabaman doing what Jesus, he didn't start playing table tennis, did he? We don't know. 1878 ST, what's happening, mate? He also says, yes, Cam, lad, hope you're well. I'm not too bad, lad. Hope you're well yourself. He says, 8 likes. Is that it? Hit the like, people. If you could hit the like button, it would mean a great deal to me. If you could share the stream, it would mean a great deal to me as well. Semi says, can't wait for Dean to be back on the pitch. Everton Botcher says, you two Botchers on every new year. And Semi says, happy new year to everybody. Where he says, piss off, Cam. Your rambling shit has been massively helpful, alleviating boredom, do more 24-hour live stream. And Semi says, rambling nonsense is what fan channels are all for. Thank you very much. Really do appreciate that, guys. Honestly, it means a lot. Look, again, I know I watched some YouTube videos during the lockdown, and they got me through it and they helped me through it and all stuff like that. It does alleviate boredom, but I don't want to sit here and go, yeah, I'm alleviating boredom. So I understand that it was very easy, especially when there's no footy on and we are just rambling crap. It would have been easy for people to go, not interested in that anymore. So I want to say a massive thank you for all of the support. Joe's in the live comments. He says, Cam there with the mic as big as his head, changing the game. Haha, legend. Thank you very much, mate. I don't know if that's a compliment towards me head or the mic, but there you go. Everyone says the teaser at the end of the video you never explained. It's a podcast, a new podcast that we're gonna be doing called the Park End Podcast. Joe sorts all the graphics for it. He's in the live chat now. Give Joe some love. We were meant to start it in December, but of course with everything and the fixtures and the congestion and stuff, it's been a little bit difficult, but it will be starting in the new year, 100%. Mozza says, alright, Cam, need to get rid of Deadwood, brilliant team so far. And Whammy says, battling Leicester for 6th at the minute. If we don't have depth, this window and pace from somewhere, right wing would be great, and backup striker maybe top 6 comfortably. Well, yeah, again, you're spot on. There's still a lot to do, but we've come a long way. Anyway, next point, like I said, mentality. Look, it's clear to see. Look at January's fixtures when Carlo had only been here a couple of weeks. The games we were losing, we were throwing games away. We capitulated against Newcastle to, this season, for example, conceded against West Brom, didn't capitulate, just went up, scored another 3 goals. Again, the Tottenham game, kept our shape, won the game comfortably. Game against Arsenal recently, Chelsea, Leicester, sides that, excluding Arsenal, sides that were on really good form and fighting to climb the table, beat them. Sheffield United hadn't won a game all season, lined up for an Everton that went out and beat them. So mentality is a massive thing that Carlo Ancelotti is changing at the football club, and there's massive amounts of it that have been changed. How many times this season have we seen the time for Everton shout? Everton that, and I get it's funny, and I get some people use it ironically, and I know people don't mean harm by it, but you do see people going, oh, you know what this means? This means we're going to lose this, that and the other. This means that we won't win this game. Seen it on Monday, went out and beat them. Chris Wilder's on his 99th win. Don't give a shit. He's not Everton manager, mate, so I don't care. You can keep looking. Don't mind the lad, to be fair, but you can keep looking. You're not getting in against Everton. Go out and beat them. Again, we've seen it with the Tottenham game. We haven't beaten these for that long. We played them opening day. Go out and beat them. Everton have a chance to go top of the league. We had that same conversation last season when we played Aston Villa. What happened? We capitulated. We lost the game. Same conversation this year. We go on a 7 wins out of 7. 4 out of 4 in the Premier League. Top of the league going into the first international break. It just shows how far we've come. Away wins is something I want to massively talk about. This is a point that I just constantly talk about. Whenever I talk about Everton and how Carlo Ancelotti has improved Everton, I always talk about away wins and how much we've improved going away from home. Like I said earlier on, I remember a time when every time Everton went away from home, you just know we wouldn't win. You know it wouldn't be a positive result. You know it'd be a boring game. We'd either get battered or it'd just be a boring out-and-out draw. And we'd always struggle away from home. And again, that does sort of feed into the mentality situation of not being at home and maybe feeling vulnerable and this, that, the other. But another thing that Carlo Ancelotti's changed since coming into the football club is we can now go away to anybody Not just sides that we should be beating, but anybody in any circumstance and win. We went away to Leicester during the lockdown period. We won. Really good game. We went away to Sheffield United. I think it was away. I'm pretty sure it was away. When they were on good form, we won. We've gone away to Leicester this season. Again, a side that you ask any journalist, and they seem to be saying that Leicester are fighting for a top 4 position. They might even be fighting for the league. They don't mention Everton, but they'll mention Leicester. Went to their own ground, beat them 2-0. Fantastic performance. They didn't get a sniff. We've gone away to Palace when they were in good form, beat them. Went away to Spurs, beat them. Okay, we've had bad results this season against Leeds and, Burnley, which we didn't get the 3 points in, etc. You're always going to have that. Like I said, Ancelotti isn't a magician and there's still a lot of work to be done. But we're now comfortably winning away games. Watford towards the back end of last season, Newcastle last season. We're going away to sides and we're winning away games. When we've got momentum and when we're in a good reign of form, it's not we haven't beaten these for that long. It's not these haven't won a game all season. It's just Everton turn up and we win. And we put in as good a performance away from home as we do at home. Yes, at home with 2,000 fans in the ground prior to obviously the announcement today. Yes, we probably give an extra 5 or 10% because that's known. That's knowledge. No, that's common knowledge in football is that when you're in front of a home crowd or any crowd, you'll perform a little bit better because they give you that little bit of push. We've seen that against Chelsea. But away wins are massive. Absolutely massive. You win all your home games and you draw all your away games, you win the league. And I know that sounds like a Michael Owen statement to make, but it's true. And I'm not saying that we're going to win every home game this season, by the way. But winning away games, certainly against sides that we should be beating, whether we play at their stadium, at Goodison Park, or bloody in my back kitchen. No excuse wherever we're playing to be beating them. Winning those games is massive. James Hayward says away wins are massive, even just not losing the game, but wins are massively important. Spot on. And that is another thing that Carlo Ancelotti's brought in since coming to this football club. And this can be directly linked, I believe, to what he said about James. When James come into the football club and, we had a press conference and he was asked, is James going to take time to adapt to the Premier League? Is he going to need a couple of weeks off? This, that, the other. Is he going to struggle? Blah, blah, blah. Just seeing that we're lagging a little bit again, so wait up. Here we go. I think we're back on now. Is he going to struggle? Is he going to take time to adapt to the Premier League? This, that, the other. And Carlo said no. He's playing the same sport. There's still 22 men on the pitch. The objective's still the same. It's using the same size ball. It's on the same pitch. It's all the same, it's just in a different league, and top quality players don't need time to adapt. And I honestly think this feeds into the away performances and the away wins as well. In that same situation as Carlo Ancelotti ultimately is going out to them players and going, listen lads, we're away from home, okay, we haven't got the home advantage. A little bit different now that we're in a lockdown, now that we're in a period where fans can't visit home grounds, and I know we've had the 2,000 fans over the last couple of weeks or so, but certainly going away from home, Everton and Liverpool were the only two teams that could have fans in the stadium for the last week, 2 weeks. So going away from home now, the fans being in the stadium, it's become less of an issue recently because of obviously, what's going on in the world at the moment. But Carlo Ancelotti is ultimately going out to those players and saying, look, it doesn't matter the fact that we're playing away, that we're playing on a different pitch, that we're playing in a different stadium. It's the same game of football. You're playing with the same lads. You're playing against 11 players in the same vein as you'd be playing at Goodison Park. The same goal, the same size. It's the same game. Go out and do what you've been, what ultimately we've planned on doing. And don't worry about the little bits and bobs like playing away from home. Don't worry about it. Go out and do the business. And that's what we're seeing. Like I said, the game against Watford, which not only was a massive win mentality-wise, but a big away win. The game against Newcastle towards the back end of last season, just went there and beat them because we're better than them. The game against Tottenham, massive, massive win. Didn't get, startled by the fact that it's in a brand spanking stadium and it's away from home and they've got this big stadium, blah, blah, blah. Maybe if fans had been in the ground, it'd have been a little bit different. But doesn't matter. That's if, buts and maybes, isn't it? We didn't get started by that. Crystal Palace beat them away from home. Sheffield United the other day beat them away from home. Leicester beat them away from home. And you might say, that's directly down to not having fans in the stadium, this, that, the other. That's fair enough, and you might be able to say that. But ultimately, football is a game played on confidence and momentum. And like I said, you're seeing it with players now. Alex Iwobi has been putting in good performances week in, week out because he's playing with confidence. He's got momentum and he's going to continue to do that, Alex Iwobi. And don't be surprised if Alex Iwobi comes up against a really good team in the next couple of weeks and performs. Same with Gylfi Sigurdsson, same with Tom Davies. Because if a player puts in a really good performance against a poor team, And that build, you can say, oh yeah, but they're a poor team. Look at who he's playing. Look at the players he's playing against. But ultimately, that player is going to pick up a lot of confidence from that good performance. He's not going to care. He's not going to go home. Do you think Tom Davis went home on Monday and went, oh, I had an 80% pass completion rate there, and I made 20, recoveries, but it was only against Sheffield United, and they're shit. Will I be able to do it against Man United or Man City or Leicester or blah blah blah? No, he'd have gone home and went, play well there. I'm enjoying my football and I'm playing with confidence, and then he'll go out against the better sides and he'll perform because he's playing with confidence that he's gained from those games. Again, football is a confidence-based game. When players are confident, they play their best football. Away wins is the same. We're going away, and as long as we're confident now, we're winning games of football. And if we've got that momentum, it doesn't matter where we're playing or who we're playing, we're getting results. And you can't say that from 12 months ago, 18 months ago, before Carlo Ancelotti. Everton had been in a really good run of form, go away from home and just lose. I remember, in Marco Silva's first season, when we were in a really good run of form, and I think we're beating Chelsea and Arsenal at Goodison Park. We beat Manchester United at Goodison Park. We were in brilliant form at Goodison, couldn't be beaten. It was fantastic. We went away to Fulham, who had already been relegated at the time, and we lost. We lost to an already relegated side, and it completely threw the fight for European football out the window, if there was one back then. But again, we were on a good run of form then. We were beating some of the best teams in the league. We were beating sides that were fighting for the league. Yet we went away to a side that had been relegated and we lost. That wouldn't happen now. That wouldn't happen. We'd go away to Fulham and we'd win. Because the confidence would be up, the momentum would be up, and Carlo's message would be, doesn't matter where you're playing, we're better than these, go out and win this game of football, or at least go out and give it 110%, which is all he ever asks of the players. Away wins is massive, like we mentioned. Newcastle last season, Watford last season, Leicester last season and this season during the lockdown, during the the 9 games at the end of the season. This season, a couple of weeks ago, Spurs at the start of the season, West Brom was at home, not West Brom, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, all really, really big wins. And were the performances great in those games? Was the performance fantastic against Crystal Palace? I stood outside the pub on Saturday night, I done my instant match reaction and I said that was a dreadful game of football, but I don't care because we've won it. And ultimately, that's all that matters. Probably a very similar instant match reaction after the Palace game. Yet we won on a penalty that maybe was a bit dubious. I don't care because we've won the game. And that's all that matters, is getting those 3 points and building those confidence. And getting those wins will ultimately propel you to perform better. 1 week, you might put in a performance where it's not great whatsoever, but you nick a win in the last 10 minutes against a poor side. You might play one of the best teams in the league the next week and absolutely blather them off the park, because that confidence and that momentum comes through, and that's clear to see. So away wins and mentality, 2 massive things that Carlo Ancelotti has changed in 2020. Moving on to signings, let's get into the live comments before we move on to signings though, because I've noticed there's a lot of comments. Look, I want to say massive thank you to everybody in the comments. It means a great deal to me. If you could share the stream, it'd mean a massive amount. If you could leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, thank you all very, very much. James says, hi Cam, hope you're well, lad. I'm not bad, mate, I'm not bad. Semi says, Carlo Magnifico, spots on. Philip says, happy new year all. Happy new year to everybody. Like I said, we will have the game preview to the West Ham game out. That'll be out tomorrow, as well as the weekly news roundup. The weekly news roundup will be up on Friday. So please do look out for that. Obviously, we'll have all of the post-game West Ham stuff as well, but we will have the preview out tomorrow. Everton Watch says, rest in peace, Brody Lee. Yes, rest in peace, definitely. Very, very sad news. Ewan says, Premier League releases statements on fixture schedule amid concern. Graham says, it's been a shit year, but yourself and Toffee TV keep me updated with the Blues Boss channel. All the best. Thank you very much, mate. Really do appreciate that, Graham. It means a massive amount to me. Semi says, read a mag yesterday that had Ferguson number 1 and Carlo number 18. There you go. Exactly. And like I said at the start of the team, I think Duncan Ferguson deserves a lot of credit and a lot of respect, not only for the games that he won and then he managed as Everton manager, but coming out after those games and saying, I want Everton to go out and get the best man for the job, not just pick me because I've won a couple of games. Philip says, hey Charmed, Phil, hope you guys are well. You said Steady says, fair play for you for doing so well, but Carlo hasn't won a thing for years, lad. As soon as he gets a top job offer, he's going to get off. He's only built teams. It is Palmer. I think we might have a Liverpool fan in the comments here. Certainly not an Everton fan. That's bollocks. That is bollocks, isn't it, really? Let's be honest with you, mate. I know you mightn't like to admit it, but it's bollocks. Carlo's come out and said in the last couple of weeks that he'd happily have the Everton job as his last job, and he'd retire here, and he loves living here, and he loves the city, and it's a family club, and this, that, the other. Why would a manager who's won as much as Carlo Ancelotti's won, and being where Carlo Ancelotti has been, why would he take the Everton job to look out for a better job? Carlo Ancelotti could have had any job in football. The Man United job, the City job, the Chelsea job, the PSG. He could have had any job in football. Why would he come to Everton as a stepping block? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But you know what? Each to your own, each to your own. Tom Newton says if you could send them one position in January, what would it be? Personally, would love a pacey winger like Sarr, Bailey or Diatta. I'd love Sarr. I'd love Ismaili Sarr and I'd love Ismaili Sarr to come, and every time he scores, Everton play the clip of Ben Foster in his YouTube videos going, "Is right, Ismail," and just play that clip every time he scores because it's just boss. But yeah, look, in January, yeah, they maybe right back, an out-and-out right back. James says, plus Richie is back. Spots on, big plus Richie is back. Semi says, hello Eugene and Botches. Anyone seen Wayne R, or does he have enough of us today? Dan says, Carlo Ancelotti's been an absolute revelation at the club. The perfect man for the job. I hope he stays for the next 10 years. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Cam Channel is boss. Up the fucking toffees. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, you and me both. You and me both, mate. You and me both. He has been an absolute revelation. He certainly has. James says, Isco for me in January. Whammy says, the Waynes are inconsistent. And Ewan says, Richarlison is fit for the game against West Ham. He certainly is. James says, in Carlo we trust. Semi says, we ran the lad off, it seems. Never watches. Just watched Howard's Way today. Cool movie. You guys should check it out. Certainly. Absolutely, certainly. And Semi said, taking points off Leicester, Chelsea and Arsenal felt so good. It's brilliant, mate. You're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. Joel also says, the derby in January, I can't blame Carlo for that. Well, exactly. He'd only been in the job, what? A month, 2 months, something. Not even a month. A week, 2 weeks, something like that. So, ultimately, you can't. Anyway, signings. Gets to the summer now. We all admitted at the back end of last season, the lockdown, I say that I'm referring it to as the lockdown period, you know what I mean? The last 9 games of the season after football returned wasn't good enough. 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses. Had some really good wins in that. Win against Leicester away from home, which was massive. Like I said, win against Sheffield United, which was a big win considering they were fighting for Europe at that time. We do the Merseyside derby, hitting the post in the last minute, which could have been a really big 3 points if we'd have won that. So we had some good results, but ultimately we also had some, really bad results, didn't we? We lost to Bournemouth on the last game of the season, again, after they'd been relegated. I think, who else beat us? Somebody else beat us. Wolves beat us comfortably. It just wasn't good enough. And again, like I said, Carlo Ancelotti come out and said to those players, go out and come back with a different mentality. Come back wanting to fight. Come back wanting to win. Come back wanting to be here. We knew that even with that change in mentality and even with the players coming back with a different outlook, we were going to need a bit more because the squad simply wasn't good enough. The midfield was atrocious and we just needed more. We needed a big, big summer. And I remember the summer transfer window really fondly because ultimately we went, 2-3 weeks, something like that, without making a signing. We'd been linked to a couple of players. The Alan links were there, the James links were there, but we all sort of felt like it was just paper talk at that point. We'd had massive links to Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and then he turned around and said I wanted to go to Spurs, and it was all very much like, are we going to sign anybody? When are we going to sign somebody? What's going to happen? And I remember the summer so fondly, and I remember just thinking, it's a couple of weeks now until the season starts and we haven't made a signing and we're so desperate to make a signing. And then all of a sudden, Alan comes in, Champions League proven, quality midfielder, exactly what we need, a dog, a pit bull in the middle of the park. James Rodriguez comes in, not only a massive global name, but a world-class footballer, somebody that can create something out of nothing, that player that we've been crying out for years. Abdoulaye Doucouré comes in, a player that we've, wanted at Everton for a couple of years now. A couple of managers have wanted to bring him in at Everton Football Club. Ben Godfrey comes in, again, young, relatively inexperienced player at the time who we didn't really know what to think of. And Robin Olsen comes in, and you're thinking, right, okay, that's gone from being a summer that we're all sort of thinking, we need to do something here, to being a really successful summer. I remember doing a live stream, and the title of the live stream, you can still see it, it's up on the channel now, was Should We Be Worried About Everton's Lack of Transfer Business? And I done that live stream, and I think a week later, I went to Greece. Don't worry, it was within the restrictions, I was allowed to do so, I wore a mask and all that sort of stuff. And when I was in Greece, we announced Alan, Doucouré and James, and it was like, oh my god, my head has flown off here. It's absolutely flown off. And ultimately, look, we went from having what seemed like a disappointing summer to a very, very successful summer. Look at the players that we brought in. James Rodriguez wouldn't be here without Carlo Ancelotti. And I know recently there's a lot of frustration because he's still injured and this, that, the other, but let's just forget about that for the moment. James Rodriguez wouldn't be here without Carlo Ancelotti. We saw how important James Rodriguez is from the moment he stepped foot off that plane in England. Not only his social media presence, the amount of traction that the transfer got, the amount of millions of people that saw the transfer, the amount of millions of people that became Evertonians off the back of the transfer, even me personally, the channel absolutely flown up, the amount of Colombian Blues who still watch to this day, still get involved saying I'm here because of James, I'm new Evertonian because of James. Not only did that have an effect off the pitch, which was massive, but the big question then from all rival fans and pundits and all of that was, oh yeah, it's all good him having a massive Instagram following, but doesn't really matter if he's getting paid 150 grand a week to do nothing. First game of the season against Tottenham Hotspur, comes on the pitch, shows his class straight away, creates chance after chance after chance, broke the record for the most chances created in a Premier League debut since 2014. Absolutely excellent. Week later against West Brom, shows his quality, shows his ability. You know, very clever in getting Kieran Gibbs sent off. Scores a really, really good goal. Fantastic goal from outside the box. We win that game of football a couple of weeks later against Brighton. Scores another 2 at the back post. Absolutely brilliant. Every time he puts an Everton shirt on, if he's not directly involved in a goal, aka an assist or a goal, he's creating. The Brighton game, that chip ball over the top to Richarlison, who then pushed it into Dominic Calvert-Lewin to score. The key passes, even more recently, the most recent game he played in, the game against Burnley, that pass to Gylfi Sigurdsson towards the end of the game, absolutely exquisite pass, fantastic. James Rodriguez would not be here without Carlo Ancelotti. James Rodriguez has brought the creativity to this football club that we have been lacking for years and years and years and years. That player who can turn something into nothing in an instant. In an instant. Big up to everybody that knows that reference. We haven't had that at this football club since probably Mikel Arteta. Let's be perfectly honest. James Rodriguez come in and has brought that. James Rodriguez would not be here without Carlo Ancelotti. Alan wouldn't be here without Carlo Ancelotti. Come in, provided that dog in midfield, that player who runs about, sticks himself into any challenge, gets himself involved, constantly works hard. Recent weeks, obviously prior to the injury, we've seen him bringing the ball out, getting forward, getting in the right areas. Really, really hard-working, battling footballer who would not be here without the manager and works so hard for the manager. One thing that, you know, we saw that was in common with a lot of the players that we were linked with in the summer, including James and Alan, and even players that we're being linked with now. You're seeing it with Isco, you're seeing it with Sami Khedira, is that all of these players are coming out and going, I want to play for Carlo Ancelotti. I want to go and play for Carlo Ancelotti. I want to play in the Premier League and I want to play for Carlo Ancelotti, so I'm going to Everton. Alan done it. Alan come out and said, I want to go and play for Ancelotti. Loved him at Napoli. I want to move. Alan had been at Napoli, pretty much a Napoli legend. Carlo come to Everton and he went, no, I want to go and play for Everton. I want to go and play under Carlo Ancelotti. Same with James Rodriguez. Needed a way out at Real Madrid. Was struggling. Spoke openly about how much he loves Carlo Ancelotti and how important Carlo Ancelotti was to his footballing career. So what does he do? He goes, I want to go and play for Carlo Ancelotti, and he comes to Everton Football Club. At a time when people were saying, don't be stupid, he doesn't even know who Everton Football Club are, this, that and the other. What did he do? He comes to Everton Football Club. Alan, very similarly. Abdoulaye Doucouré, a player that we've wanted to bring into the football club for so long. Within a couple of weeks of us being rumoured, he's an Everton player. That effect of the manager should never, ever be underestimated, by the way. Ever be underestimated. Because you can talk about European football and the position in which you're in the league and this, that and the other. But ultimately, players want to play for managers. Players will come and play for managers. Players will come to and accept coming to a club that is in a project because of a manager. Would James Rodriguez have come to Everton under Marco Silva? Absolutely not. He'd have probably looked at his blower, put the phone down, and picked his PS pad up and played PS. Would Abdoulaye Doucouré be here without Marco Silva? Well, he tried to sign him, and it didn't happen, so there was an obvious reason for that. Would Alan be here whilst Marco Silva was in charge? Absolutely not. And I don't just want to dig at Marco Silva. This isn't just a big dig at Marco Silva, because it's not about him, but he was just the previous manager, so he's the one to go to. These players have come to Everton because of Carlo Ancelotti and wanting to play for Carlo Ancelotti and believing in Carlo Ancelotti. The amount of players that Everton Football Club will be opened up to now because of Carlo is absolutely, it's so instrumental to the future of the football club. The players that he knows will be able to come in and fix this squad. We went away after last season in the summer knowing we needed a brand new midfield. Carlo Ancelotti made a couple of phone calls. 3 weeks later, Alan comes into the team. Exactly the type of player that we need. Decore comes into the team. Exactly the type of player that we need. James comes into the team. The creativity that we've been lacking for so long. All because Carlo Ancelotti has made a couple of phone calls. And Marcel Brands as well had worked deals out. Obviously, we know about the James deal and the Alan deal, which was spoken about before. It's the manager. It's the effect that the manager's had. Ben Godfrey, again, massive signing. Maybe had a little bit more to do with Marcel Brands than Carlo Ancelotti. But again, what a player he is. He's come into this football club and he already looks like one of the best centre-halves in the country. He's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Again, would they be here without believing in Carlo Ancelotti and believing? You can talk about the project and, ultimately if a club wants to sign a player, they're not going to pick the phone up and go, listen, we've been shy for 3 years, we're probably going to be shy for another 3 years, and we probably will sack our manager within 12 months, so do you want to come to us? Because those players are going to go, no. Every time a club wants to sign a player, they're going to pick the phone up, be it the manager or somebody else at the club, and talk about the project and how we want to be in the Champions League in the next couple of years and how we want to be challenging for the league and all of that. But ultimately, that player has to believe what the manager's saying. And if you're Alan or James or Ben Godfrey or Decore or any other player and Carlo Ancelotti's picking the phone up to you going, look, I'm at this football club, they've got a project, they want to be fighting for the league, they want to be fighting for the Champions League, you're going to think, well, hang on. He's a manager that's been there and done that before. So, if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be him. So, yeah, I'll go there. I'll go and play in the Premier League. I'll go and play for Everton. Sound. And that's what we're seeing already with Carlo Ancelotti coming in. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. And the signings that we've made so far have been brilliant. Ben Sinclair says, to be honest, I forgot about the fact that James isn't the ceiling regarding the talent Carlo can attract. There's still many windows to build the squad and Carlo has the influence to bring in more quality. Exactly, mate. Absolutely, exactly. If you're enjoying the stream, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe as well. Really, really do appreciate all of the support, as always. It means a massive, massive, massive amount to me. Like I said, if you could leave a like, it would mean a great, great deal to me. Bernard, Semi says, Bernard was good last match, but he is also known for disappearing completely in others. Well, yeah, he was brilliant. You can only go off the last match, and Bernard played very, very well, to be fair. And maybe disappointing for Bernard that he won't get it. Well, he probably won't get a chance to start because Richarlison's back, and I assume Richarlison will be starting. But, he played well. Ananda says, I thought Eugene was a robot because he has always put headlines into the chat. Probably first time I've seen you put a real comment in. You are fantastic, mate. He certainly is. He certainly is. When he says, think Brands gets the core, though, I do agree. Ancelotti gets us better players just on his name and more so with us doing reasonably well. But Brands deserves credit. Brands does deserve credit. We spoke about Marcel Brands a couple of weeks ago and he deserves massive, massive amounts of credit. I agree. Philip says Carlo wins a lottie. Brilliant. Eugene says Everton needs to play Bernard against West Ham. There you go, fair enough. Johnny says it's going to be great to see what future quality players will become to Everton in the future coming window so they can play under Carlo. Spot on. Semi says I'll fly in on Silver for your Cam. What a mistake he was, set us back. Well, again, it's having inexperienced managers, and that we couldn't last season in December when we sacked Marco Silva. And we knew we needed a permanent manager because Duncan said he didn't want the job on a permanent. We couldn't have gone in and bought in another experiment because we could have been relegated. We could have brought in an Eddie Howe, and what happened to Bournemouth in the last 6 months of the season, or the last 5 months of the season, whatever, could have well happened to Everton. We didn't. We went out and we bought in a serial winner. Manuel says Richie will play already on Friday. He also says we might lay the hammer on Man City. Well, again, there's a lot of questions to be answered there. Joe says, what was that reference of in an instant? It rings a bell, but can't put my finger on it. Ha ha ha. Listen, Joe, don't make me rage. I'm rattling. Where he says, Carl, you maniac, you've been with Mike's missing again. Manuel says, Carlo just confirmed Dean and James back as soon as next week. Meanwhile, Alan to be out expected. Yeah, Carlo has had his pre-game press conference today. We will talk a little bit more about that in the weekly news roundup on Friday. We will also talk about it in tomorrow's game preview to the West Ham game, of course. Johnny says, can't wait for James, Alan Dean and Richie to be back. We will then have the depth in essence, don't you think? Spot on. Carlo says, James is a great player, gets injured a lot, however his mentality is to win, and he has put Everton in a global scale. It has made other players step up their game, like Sigurdsson. You're spot on. Semi says, yeah, Dean back in, of course, but must find a place for Godfrey. William says Godfrey goes left centre back when Dean's back. Fabi says, I will wait for the next game. James Rodriguez is back. The game against, well, hopefully the game against Rotherham. Manuel says, will be interesting as Dean is expected to come back in 7 to 10 days. Godfrey might switch lanes and swap with Coleman. William says, Ben the Beast Godfrey, great signing. Still think Conkers might be best signing though, 50p and a pack of skips. Hernandez says, I missed the channel videos in the back of the car in Greece. Yeah, well, we done the announcement of James in the back of the car in Greece. So yeah, I missed them as well. Philip says, Godfrey is potentially our best signing. Certainly is, mate. Whammy says, like a sexy Italian Dwayne Johnson, if you smell what Carlo is cooking. Exactly, mate, exactly. Whammy says, is their eyebrow right, Phil? Hernandez says, all the teams are always praised for grinding out 1-0 wins, whether they play well or not. 3 points are 3 points, although early on in the season, people have to give Everton and Carlo credit. Spot on. Williams says, it's all going in the right direction. That's the main thing. Obviously, fast hit is always better, but as long as we keep heading in the right overall, should look at things on a game-to-game basis. You're spot on. Liam says, make sure to follow the Mighty Blues. If you haven't, you will miss boss content. Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate that. Philip says, Carlo has made me question my sexuality. There you go. Ben says, a lot of our previous managers have come in with a set way of playing and not being able to change, whereas Carlo's been open to change and to shift the team tactics around suit the opposition too. Spot on. Whammy says, when do we play them again? It's a few weeks. Thin Lady will be in goal. She'll be like a prime Buffon. I don't know if you're talking about City there. Probably be in weeks and weeks and weeks. Joe says, Carragher said the same thing the other day. The idea that the players need to settle is nonsense. You can see with James' quality was there from the start. You're spot on. William says, is right, Joe, you're spot on. William says, yeah, and they have the plague field dropped like flies in tuna time. They sleep with red snappers. And Kennedy says, if Everton finished second or third, it'd be the first time since 1987. It'd be a massive statement. You're spot on. And James says, Carlo gets top 4. That's massive. Again, away wins is how we do it. Yeah, look, you're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. And ultimately, again, you know, we have to keep improving. There's still a lot of improvements to make. I'm not by any means saying that everything's perfect and everything's sorted, but what I am saying is that it's a lot better. It's a lot better since Carlo Ancelotti has come into the football club, and he has changed an awful lot. Anyway, before we finish up, we will get back into the live comments. Before we finish up, we spoke about mentality, we spoke about away wins, we spoke about signings, league position and form, belief in the team, and the team's belief in Carlo. These players believe in the manager. I honestly believe that anything that comes out of that man's mouth, those players believe, and those players look at and think, yeah, I believe him because he's won this, he's won everything, he's done everything, so I believe exactly what he's saying. That is a massive, massive positive. When you've got a manager and when you've got a set of players who believe in the manager and believe in what the manager is saying, and the team talks that the manager is telling them, that will go a long, long, long way for our football club. A long, long, long way. Look at the league position. We're currently sitting 4th. Like I said at the start of the season, I'm sitting here frustrated that we've dropped to 4th now, and it's not through any fault of our own, because we were 2nd 3 days ago, and we could have gone joint top if we'd have beat Man City if that game had been played. So it just shows how far we've come. 7 wins out of 7, like I said. It wasn't even a question. Before Carlo, we'd never win 7 games out of 7. It just wouldn't happen. Now, with Carlo Ancelotti, going on a run of wins, not just a run of unbeaten games, but a run of wins, it just seems like the norm now. It's just what we do. It's just what happens. And that wasn't the norm prior to Carlo Ancelotti coming in. And like I said, the belief and the belief and the trust that the players have in Carlo Ancelotti, the belief and the trust that the players have in this project, and that even when it was going bad, when we had that little spell of, 5 games with only 1 win out of 5 games, the players still bounced back and put in a top performance against Chelsea, and then we've got on another really, really good run of fixtures, and we're right at the top of the league, come the new year. So there you go. Look, we will get back into the live comments, but I wanted to do a positive theme about Carlo Ancelotti and a positive theme about the year, because let's be honest, it's been proper shite. But if there's one thing that hasn't been shite, is the progress that Everton have made in 2020 in terms of the little things, the away wins, the mentality, the signings, the players playing for Carlo Ancelotti, the respect that he demands. And I wanted to end the year on a positive stream. I really, really did. Anyway, let's get back into the live comments before we finish up then. Like I said, it is the last stream of the year, but we will be back with a video tomorrow. Of course, the game preview to the West Ham game will be up tomorrow. The weekly news roundup will be up on New Year's Day as well. James says, no draws. We've won 2, I think, under Silver. 2 away games. And see, that's woeful. That's woeful. Wayne says, easy to win away with no crowd. Maybe, mate, maybe. But again, we won big away games with a crowd last season. The Watford game, the Newcastle game. So again, there's definitely a change. Definitely a change for me. Carl says, hey, mate. Hi, mate. How you doing? Carl, hope you're doing well. I think I just about missed that one. Hang on. There's just loads of comments. Big thanks to everybody, by the way, for commenting. I really, really do appreciate it. It means a massive amount to me. Honestly, I can't thank you enough. Colin says, Hammers is a great player, gets injured a lot, however the mentality is to win and to put Everton on a global scale. It has made other players step up their place, like Sigurdsson. You're spot on. Like I said, Carl says, hello, mate. Where are we? Philip says, talking about something fishy going on. I see the victims. Easy game today goes ahead. Fishy as well. Omelette on a board of Grimsby Trawler. Mad shout. James says, Hammers. I'm calling you Hammers. Hammers said the way wins are massive. Even just not losing the game, but wins are massively important. Spot on. Joseph San says, yeah, it'll be boss Wayne. Always a pleasure working with Cam. Been working together for over 4 years as a top man. We certainly have. The podcast will be brilliant and it will be coming out very, very, very soon. Everton Azul says, I hope they don't postpone the match. I'm looking so forward to it. I hope they don't as well, mate. Wayne says, if they got Cam on Match of the Day, they would get twice the amount of commentary. There you go, BBC. Watch out. They wouldn't have me on because I couldn't say what I wanted to say, and I probably wouldn't want to be on and be told what I can and can't say. Semi says, sounds good, I'll listen for certain. Thank you very much. Joe says, agree, James, mate. Wayne says, nice one, Joe. Podcast be good for the channel. It will be. James says, listening to Cam cheers me up. I'm sure you're going places like keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that one. Joe Does Design says, the Park End podcast, we move, is right. Is right, Joe, is right. We certainly do move. We certainly do. Joe says, rattling the cage, I've clocked it. Stephen says, Silver was let down by the club when we beat United 5-0 that period. 4-0 it was, I think. That period the football was good. Should have kicked on, replacing Garner and Zuma. Yeah, I'm not saying it was completely Silver's fault. He probably was let down a little bit in the transfer market and stuff like that. But he was never going to be good enough to take Everton where they want to be. Manuel says, Cam, where do you think about Ben Godfrey should play if Luca Dean really returns? Centre half, mate. Centre half. Again, it's a headache for Carlo, but it's a good headache ultimately for Carlo to have. Listen, we're 5 likes away from 50. If we can get 50 likes before we end the stream, it would mean a great deal to me. Honestly, it would mean a massive amount to me. If you are new, please do subscribe. If you haven't left a like already, it would mean a great deal to me. Big thanks for watching. Let's continue in the live comments then before we finish up. Big Nozzer says it was 4-0 and do me a favour, don't mention Silver. Remember, Silver was not let down by the club. He should never have been hired. He was massively out of his depth. Michael says, Cam, why do you think the likes of Gordon and Konku, Branthwaite, etc. aren't out on loan? They didn't even make the squad until the new 9 subs were brought in. Probably because of situations like we're currently in now with injury issues and, you know, ultimately, look, let's say, for example, Ben Godfrey, I don't know, picks up a knock for one game, because I don't think I could even fathom any longer than that. Picks up a knock for one game, and Conker would probably come in at left back. So it's about squad depth and having that players, and we already know we need to improve that squad depth. Michael says, seems a waste just playing under 20 years. It is a waste, and I do agree with certain players. I agree with Branthwaite going out on loan. I agree with Gordon if he's not going to be featured in, but you know, I think Carlo just wants to keep as big of a squad as possible, certainly given the injuries at the moment. Baynor says, you said it, mate. David says, Cam, where do you think Carlo will sign next month? Isco? I don't know, mate. I don't know, to be honest. It's it'd be interesting to see. It certainly will be, but I've not got big expectations for January, to be honest, just because I never do, because we never do much in January. Semi Silva couldn't find the right formation and didn't get much from his players. Johnny says, my wish for next year is for Iwobi to practice his crossing. Come on, 2021 Iwobinho. Ewan says the Everton Dogs of War is back with the team again because of Carlo Ancelotti. Joe says, boss stream that Cam, mate. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much, Joe. Honestly, thank you very much. Listen, we all love Joe. Joe's absolutely boss. The work Joe does for the channel is greatly appreciated. Ultimately, look, I do the streams and the videos and the talking and the rambling, but the thumbnails and the graphics and the intros and the backgrounds and all that, if it wasn't for Joe, I'd be sitting here with a Microsoft Paint background. So Joe makes the channel look all professional and boss. So Joe's a big part of this journey as well as everybody, of course. Semi says top 4 is very positive, possible at the end of the year. Positive at the end of the year, yeah, it certainly is. Women says, also being fair, not like we could attract players when it was come play for us with an unknown manager who seems to have no idea. That's it, mate, that's it. Wayne says, have a healthy new year, peeps, stay safe. James says, happy new year. Wayne says, Cam just butchered that for you, Phil. It was a funny comment. I absolutely butchered it, mate. Sorry, Phil. Philip says all the best, pal. Big Nos says top 4 I think may just be out of our reach unless we can sign 3 or 4 players maybe in January, potentially. And Anders says, for as crazy as this year has been, the channel has been one of the few constants for us. From me and I'm sure a lot of us in the chat, thank you so much, mate. You are incredible, mate. Thank you very much. And Anders, that means a great deal to me. Honestly, it really does. Manuel says, let's qualify for the Champions League in 2021. It's been too long. It certainly has. Wayne says, new central midfielder in January. Wayne says, the joke was alive and kicking when you left it. Hunter Cam, 1 shot to the heart. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm awful, aren't I? I'm awful. I'm sorry. James says, Cam would be great on TalkSport. Straight up, Happy New Year. They probably wouldn't have me as well, but you know what? My DMs are always open. He says, Dogs of War. William says, on a board, flipper flapper. What, Phil? You have to... I'm rolling now. I can't breathe. Joshua says, do you think Hammers is actually injured, or do you think because Iwobi is improving he can't get in the team? No, I think he's recuperating, to be honest. And I think Carlo Ancelotti is thinking, right, well, whilst Iwobi's playing well and whilst the team's playing well, I don't need to rush him back. And I think that's ultimately the situation. I don't think it's as deep as some people think with the conspiracies and stuff. I just think it's a case of not rushing him back when there's no need to. Anyway, that is going to do it for today's live stream. Look, a massive thank you for everybody for watching again. The support today has been unbelievable. 50 likes on the live stream is just fantastic. So I want to say a big thank you for each and every one of you. To each and every one of you for all of the support. We will have the game preview out to the West Ham game. That'll be tomorrow, around about 4 or 5 o'clock, something like that. And then the weekly news roundup will be up on Friday, as well as, of course, the player ratings and the instant match reaction and stuff like that. James says he's sorry, and Anders says Happy New Year to you and Jess. I've seen that comment before as well, by the way. I was trying to look for it, but I missed it. So thanks for putting it back in again. Hernandez says Happy New Year to you and Jess. Looking forward to all your new content and can't wait for more Everton greatness and for more Cams, Rashalas and Pigeon Dance. Is right, mate. Thank you very much. Happy New Year to you and your family as well. Philip says all friends now, and Semi says thanks, Cam, top man. Cheers. Cheers, Semi. Really appreciate that. Anyway, big thanks for watching. Like I said, there'll be videos out tomorrow, the preview, of course, and the weekly news roundup on Friday. But this will be the last live stream of 2020. Look, it's been a dreadful one for a lot of us for a lot of different reasons. That's why I wanted to do a little bit of a positive scene today about Everton and the improvements that Carlo Ancelotti has made and the changes that he's made to improve this football club. So a big thanks for watching. Massive thank you for all of the support throughout the year. I'll see you tomorrow in video form, and I'll see you next year in live stream form. Massive thank you to everybody as per usual. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Please do hit that like button if you have enjoyed. Wayne says, don't ever change, lad. I'm joking, that was just too funny. James says, bless, mate. Thank you very much. Wayne says, Happy New Year, Blues, onwards and upwards. Philip says, nice job, Cam. Cheers, Philip. Ewan says, see about the toffees and hope Everton will get the 3 points. Big Nos says, all the best for 2021. Cam, keep the channel, brilliant channel going. It's the best. Thank you very much, Phil. All the best to you and your family as well. And Wimmy says, take care, guys. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to you as well, Wimmy. Semi says, Happy New Year to all my Blues. Happy New Year, Semi. Really appreciate that. Happy New Year to everybody. Have a fantastic New Year's Eve tomorrow. Have a safe New Year's Eve tomorrow. Whatever you're doing. Like I said, a big thanks for all the support. A very happy New Year. I hope 2021 is filled with much more positivity than 2020. 2020 was, which, let's be honest, wasn't much. Once again, a massive thank you for all of the support. And yeah, like I said, if you want some New Year's Eve entertainment, the game preview to the West Ham game will be up tomorrow. Big thanks for watching. James says you have helped us through it. Cam, cheers. Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate that. And Wayne says, happy Newcastle beat the shite. Hopefully, mate. Hopefully. Big thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.